Should you be able to beat on Leatherface and the other Sawyer killers in the game? Ah! We'll find out.
Campfacer.
Howdy doody campers, Campfacer here. Welcome back to another Texas Chainsaw Massacre the game video. We have a very interesting question coming, and we have a very interesting answer. But before we get into that, make sure you guys click notifications to all so you don't miss another Texas Chainsaw Massacre the game video in the future. Let's get into this. I've been hearing a lot of people asking about, are we going to be able to fight back against the killers, the Sawyers, Leatherface, the hitchhiker, or the cook? Is it going to be similar to Friday the 13th, or more kind of like Dead by Daylight, where you can't fight back at all? Now, 3 days ago, over on the official Texas Chainsaw Massacre the game subreddit, somebody actually brought up that question, and I will read to you what the question was and the answer from a developer from Gun Interactive. Let's read this, then we will discuss. Now, over on the official Texas Chainsaw Massacre the game subreddit, a user by the name of Bronskaka, I think that's how you pronounce it in German, correct me if I'm wrong, brings up the question, so you think the Sawyers will be killable, defeatable themselves? If so, how difficult should it be? Now, they put a poll up, and I was actually surprised that there was more yes than no. 69 people voted yes, 24 people voted no, including myself, and 29 people, only the normal humans, not Leatherface, for example. Well, they're all human, to be honest, if you've seen the film. I mean, Leatherface probably could take more damage than the cook or the hitchhiker, but they're all human. So I would say no, but maybe there's a possibility there. But anyways, the community developer Matt Chacha chimed in and gave us an answer. And let's hear what he had to say. The family cannot be killed in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. While being careful not to share too much, let me just say that the victims are in no way in a position to put up that type of a fight against the family. Now, there will be ways for the victims to defend themselves. However, engaging in full-on combat with the family is not something that the victims can readily do. While I cannot reveal much more than that, I can say the game is simply not structured like that. Combat is the last option to the victims, as it only makes sense out of sheer desperation, rather than as a viable tactic. That is awesome. That is really cool, you guys. I'm happy to hear that. I read this and I posted it on my the group in Facebook that I'm in. I posted this about 4 days ago when it came out, but I didn't bring it to the table to YouTube because I wanted to hear more answers and what people thought about it. And to be honest, the Facebook group that I'm in, there were almost 95% of the people there were excited about this, that you can't really fight back. I want to say that he's not saying that you can't fight back. He's saying it's a last resort. We're going to talk about maybe possibilities here in a second. But he's not saying that you can't fight back like in Dead by Daylight, where you just have to wiggle to get out of it. Maybe you can fight back a little bit, but it's not going to be like Friday the 13th, where you're constantly beating on Jason and making a fool out of the killer.
Needle dick.
And ruining the whole vibe to the horror game experience. So let's talk a little bit about possibilities and talk a little bit about what ruins games like this and why it turns a game from being a horror game into a comedy, let's troll the killer type of game. Let me just start off by saying, when I first started playing Gun Interactive's first game, Friday the 13th, I think myself and all the others out there, the first few weeks diving into that game, we all I personally jumped in with a lot of fear and excitement, and I did not plan on beating on Jason or I didn't even know about killing him at the time. I did not plan on it. I was more scared to do the objectives and run and work with my friends, and when Jason got nearby, I was freaking out because I have that imagination of a child still. When I watch a movie or play a video game that's scary, I immerse my imagination right inside the film or inside the game. I run like hell. I think you shouldn't be messing with a killer, especially, if it happened in real life. You would not be like, let's go grab a stick and start beating on Leatherface here. You would be running. If you heard that chainsaw coming after you, you're gonna run like hell, try to hide, and try to get the hell out of Dodge. That's the way it should be. Like, again, when I played Friday the 13th, the game, the first few weeks, it was a lot of fun because there was a lot of tension there, and it wasn't about beating on Jason. But that changed once people learned how to play the game really good and figured out ways of grouping up and grabbing weapons and just beating on Jason, and you were allowed to knock him down, eventually take his mask off. People learned ways of killing him and trolling him around through the windows and making a laughing joke about it. Don't get me wrong, it is kind of fun sometimes when you're with your friends and you're having a fun moment like that, but let's be honest here, guys. Friday the 13th, the game, should have been more about running and being scared to death from Jason, but it completely changed. And it's still a fun game, don't get me wrong, but it's not the game it should have been, especially right now, being so late, further on down the road, years later. So, that being said, Matt Chacha from Gun Interactive is saying that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not going to be similar in that aspect at all, you guys. I think they learned from their mistakes a little bit, and they're changing things up, the gameplay. They really want to push to make this more immersed horror and give the survivors that fear, that true fear and excitement, and make a game the way it should be, especially iconic horror IP such as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you guys have never seen that, again, even if you've seen it and haven't seen it in a long time, go rewatch it again. And this time when you rewatch it, kind of like look at it like comparing it to how could this be a good game, and look at things in this, like the rooms that there are, Sally's walking by, or the generator, or the cars behind there that netted up, the field, the gameplay field, and so on. Rewatch the movie and imagine if you were really there when you're watching this movie. You feel very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. That's the way it should be as the game. Now, let's talk about combat though. Matt did not say you can't fight back. He said it's very limited. It should be a last resort, okay? So it's not going to be like Dead by Daylight, I think, where you can't fight back at all. What I think he's saying is there's going to be, I don't know honestly, but there might be limited ways of evading or fighting back or pushing away from the killer. But I want to say it's going to be so limited that you don't want to think about grabbing a weapon and just going up and attacking the killer. So that being said, some of my ideas that these are just me coming up with solutions to being able to fight back, but not purposely going to attack the killer, the Sawyers, Leatherface, the cook, the hitchhiker, and so on. Let's just say, what if you're a survivor and you're running, and let's say the hitchhiker is onto you and he's running after you with like his dirty old straight razor, and he's on you, and let's just say he grabs you. What if you had the chance to what if you had like a broomstick in your hand? Let's just say, instead of like knocking him down like in Friday the 13th, and you run, he comes after you again, you knock him down again and laugh. Let's just say he grabs onto you, you have your broomstick, you turn around, you might miss, Or if you have that chance and you hit him, the broomstick breaks with one shot. And, okay, so then he falls for a second or two and it gives you a chance to run away. Now, that's a kind of combat that I wouldn't mind having as long as there wasn't weapons placed all over the place, because then people would just keep picking up weapon. Let's make the weapons a one-shot hit and they break and then you can get away. But let's say they're very limited. So it gives you a little bit of a chance, because you don't want to be like Dead by Daylight where you get grabbed and right away you're like, oh, I gotta like somehow try to get out of this grab or wiggle. You know, in Dead by Daylight, the chances of breaking out of a wiggle are slim to none, and it's the same thing over and over, so it doesn't feel like you have a chance. But if you have a chance as a survivor, the excitement is still kind of there, and it makes the gameplay a little more fun. But let's just try to keep the beating on the killer over and over again, or groups of people surrounding the killer beating on them. Let's keep that out of there, and that's what Gun Interactive is basically saying. But as far as weapons go, let's maybe do a one-hit shot and then the weapon breaks, and keep the weapons very limited and hard to find. Maybe there's different ways of, maybe you can push a killer away, and if you push him hard enough, and it's like a dice roll, maybe he'll trip and fall and then kind of get back up. Maybe there's certain situations like that, but we don't know. And this is my question to you guys in this video. What do you guys think about this whole idea? Do you like this? If so, what would be your way of fighting back without it turning into a whole beatdown, laughing stock on the killer? What would you do to change this? I want to know your thoughts down in the comments below. I want to hear everyone's comment. Come on, if you're watching this video, let's talk about this. Make sure to give this video a like. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Click notifications to all. If you have not subscribed, please consider, because this is the channel where I'm going to talk about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the game, all the time. I'm going to bring the news. I'm going to bring the conversation to you guys. Let's do this. That's it for the video. I want to say thank you so much for watching. Until next time, campers, you know what I'm going to say.